excuse me, Deborah Hersman, the president of the National Safety Council, former NTSB chairman. Also, Mary Schiavo, CNN analyst, former inspector general of the U.S. Department of Transportation. Also now an attorney for victims and families who do suffer through these airplane disasters. Deborah, thanks so much for being with us. We have seen these pictures now of debris in the Java Sea. We've seen a door, an emergency exit door, aluminum siding, also pieces of what could be a life raft. We've seen images from these helicopters of pulling a body from the ocean as well. We're not showing too many of these. They are troubling to see. So now that you have this, now that you have these pieces, what's next?
Well, I think the first priority is really for those families, and I know you all have been talking about that a lot. This is really a difficult time for them, and so it's that recovery and the identification of remains. And again, holding out any hope that there might be a survivor. We have had crashes where there are sole survivors on occasion, and so we do want to continue to look for survivors if that's a possibility. But for the investigators, they're going to be really trying to identify the debris field, the spread, where the first pieces started to shed and where they might be located. But the most important evidence for them will be those recorders, the cockpit voice recorder and the flight data recorder.
And Mary, the debris is just 6 miles from the last known point of contact. What does that say?
Well, to me, that does suggest that the plane came down after some sort of aerodynamic stall, either a combination of weather and pilot error, or weather, pilot error, and a mechanical issue. But because it's just so close to the last known radar point, it suggests that there was not an in-flight breakup. The pieces in that case tend to be flung much further, a much wider debris field. And, of course, it remains to be seen that there's just the initial number of bodies, but it does seem to be in one area and contained, so I think that it probably hit the water intact.
What are the complications now of getting all of this debris, given that it seems to be in an area, 6 miles to me sounds like not a big area. Is that a hard area to search?
Well, I won't say it's not a hard area to search, but it's a more compacted area to search, and because of the conditions on the Java Sea and the depth of the water being much less than on, for example, the Indian Ocean, they will have a more efficient time of it in gathering it up. The only complication might be, when you mentioned just a couple seconds ago about the towed pinger locator, right now they need as many helpful assets on the water as they can to collect the bodies as quickly as possible. The towed pinger locator can sometimes pick up other signals, et cetera. So I think right now they'll probably emphasize getting the bodies and then bring in, for example, a towed pinger locator if they need it.
The recovery first. Deborah, you emphasize the need to deal with the families in a sympathetic, empathetic way. And this company, you know, AirAsia has seemed to have been doing that over the last few days, and we can hope that they do that in the days ahead. As someone who's led these investigations before, how delicate is it to talk to the families, to tell them everything that they want to know, everything that they need to know while doing the investigation at the same time?
You know, it's not hard because it's the right thing to do, and I think it's about making the decisions to share the information with the family. Make sure, again, you've got to maintain your credibility, and so it's making sure you've got the facts correct and sharing them in a timely manner with the family. And in this media frenzy that everyone is involved in, is making sure that people feel that they're respected and that they're protected. I mean, some of these shots, and I'm glad that you're not showing them, but some of these shots are really hard for families, and there are people who have been involved in crashes all around the world who are seeing these things, and it is bringing up feelings again for them. And so, you know, we've got the 370 that's still missing.
And Mary, based on what we've seen so far, emergency exit door with the bodies that have been recovered, at least 2 right now, what questions pop into your mind now? What are the answers that you want in terms of this investigation?
Well, I think everyone will be focusing on the fact that the emergency exit door was free and was floating free. I have seen other crash sites, though, where, you know, the emergency exit doors popped out, or there were slides that had been deployed and there were flotation devices. TWA 800, for example, off the coast of New York had flotation devices. but that didn't mean that people actually got them on or had time to get them on. In many cases, those things just come apart as the accident aircraft breaks apart in the water, but we certainly want to know that.
I think what you're alluding to, you know, they're seeing the emergency exit door. People might think, well, someone popped it, someone tried to escape, someone tried to get out. What you're saying is it may not necessarily mean that.
That's right, but that's certainly something that can be answered, and of course the cockpit voice recorder will be very clear as to whether anyone's given order to prepare for a ditching.
Deborah, I want to have a final thought from you about going forward now. Is safety in the air industry, or at least helping with further investigations? This idea, AirAsia was upgrading or is upgrading its fleet with more real-time trackers to locate flights. This plane did not have that real-time tracker. Do you think the industry needs to make these changes, and do you think they will?
You know what? The one thing that's constant is change, and technology continuously evolves. The airline industry has to evolve, and they have to adapt and keep up with technology. All of us really have that demand on us no matter what we do. I think the pressure is high on the aviation industry right now to get into a really sophisticated tracking system. This year has been a bad one for them, and they need to move forward.
All right, Deborah Hersman, Mary Schiavo, thanks so much for being with us. Appreciate it.